What the? How'd she get out of those cuffs?
Huh?
Well, let's talk about Abigail, because Abigail introduces us to Dracula's daughter. What inspired you guys to explore this character, and how does she differ from her infamous father?
Well, we're not actually sure who her father is, so we're going to say that.
Okay.
That's a bit of an online rumor mill doing its thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just so inspiring, I think, for us to not only get to mash up a heist movie and a monster movie, but to have a character at the center of it who seems to be innocent and helpless, and who is literally anything but both of those things. It was just so fun. It was so many opportunities for twists and turns and fun sequences and fun character moments. We were just sold from jump.
Monster movie, heist movie. I also feel like it has a bit of a haunted house vibe too, like when we're in the house. Can you talk about how that setting kind of adds to the story?
Yeah, I mean, that house that you see is 95% an actual house in Dublin.
Oh, wow.
And the way that we've always approached our stuff from back, like when we were doing really, really small things, just us, was find a location, then kind of adapt the story to the location. And with this, we found this house. It's called Glen Maroon. And it just inspired the movie in so many ways where you're like, okay, well, this can happen here. Oh, and then that allows us to do X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z allows us to do this. And so it was kind of an ongoing process. I mean, up until like we were almost done shooting, we were still finding new little nooks and crannies we could,
What if we did this here? Let's go do that here instead. Yeah.
And I mean, testament to our production designer, Susie, her and her team were able to somehow create this like hodgepodgey haunted house vibe that's cohesive, but timeless, but in different eras. There's a lot of subtlety going on in it that's really cool in the house.
That's awesome. Now, horror often revisits classic figures with fresh perspectives. How does Abigail reinterpret the vampire mythos for a contemporary audience?
I mean, I think that some of that stuff, we don't want to give away too much, because I think some of the fun of the movie is how we deal with the lore specifically, and what things we're loyal to and what things we're just throwing directly out of the window. But I think for us, that was one of the really exciting opportunities, was for us to take all of the vampire movies that we grew up on and find a way to maybe reinvent some of those rules and then express them in a way that's just different and very much us.
Now, speaking of the vampire movies you kind of grew up on, are there any specific films or literary works that influenced your portrayal of Abigail in this film?
I mean, one of the things that we've talked about a lot is how we love the movies where the villain is the title character, is kind of the thing that everything circles around. And so for us, it was like we took our movies we loved and we grew up on. I love vampire movies: Near Dark, Dusk Till Dawn, Lost Boys, 30 Days a Night, the original Dracula. And again, like Tyler was just saying, we kind of filtered it all through our taste, and that was one of the really exciting things about doing an original movie, is that we were like, oh, this doesn't have to be beholden to these things. And I think that lineage of those movies informed us that way, where we were like, oh yeah, like Lost Boys and Near Dark, and these movies they're kind of tied, but they're not really, and I think there was something very freeing in that. So it's kind of our version of those, which means that it's just our version. Cool for us.
What do you guys think Abigail's potential place is in the Universal monster universe?
That's a good question. I mean, we hope that she, takes a place at the top. I feel like one of the really exciting things for us was that Universal was able to take a chance on a really weird, wacky, like bloody, funny, scary, character-filled, emotional ride. And Abigail's at the center of that, of all of those flavors. And I think we just are feeling so lucky that we've had great partners that trusted that all of that fun stuff could coexist in one movie, and that it could be spearheaded by a 13-year-old actress. And it's just really, really a good time. So we hope she sticks around.
I actually want to talk about your actress, Alicia Weir. Now, she looks incredible in this film. Can you share any insight into the casting process to get Alicia on board, and what qualities you were looking for an Abigail?
Yeah, I mean, we were very nervous, to put it lightly, about casting Abigail, because we knew the entire movie hinged on that character and who played her. And when we zoomed with Alicia, she lives in Dublin, which is where we shot, which is completely random. She just was incredible. And I think working with her out there, again, getting there, the fear was, okay, but how's this going to work? We got all these restrictions, blah, blah, blah. And then she was maybe one of the most professional people we've ever worked with, and like the nicest, sweetest, kindest, just got it, knew exactly what the character was, knew how to like turn it on its head and kind of keep evolving it. And so the process was trying, but once we met Alicia, we were like, oh, cool, that's
Such
done.
a sigh of relief.
Yay, we can move on and actually have fun with this.
Now, we know that we've seen different interpretations of vampires throughout history, but we do know that that Abigail is a ballerina. What other things can you tell us about her? Without spoilers, obviously.
What other things?
Really good at luring people to a secret location to hunt them.
I think the other thing, and I'm going to speak vaguely on it because I don't want to get into like spoilery territory, but I think one of the other opportunities and the thing that we took really seriously is that character isn't just what she superficially seems to be, and that's really similar for all the characters in the movie. But we really wanted to treat her as the villain as a character that has real depth, and that there's actually something emotional happening in her that you hope and want to be resolved by the end of the movie. And so I think that, just speaking again to Alicia's talents, that she understood that under the fun makeup and the fun stunts and all the kind of wacky action sequences, that there's a character that actually has a lot of nuance, a lot of emotional nuance. And I think that that's what people are hopefully going to be pleasantly surprised by, that the fact that she's a ballerina and a vampire is great, but there's also a lot more to unpack, and it only works because of how great Alicia is.
Speaking of that, what did Alicia bring to the role of Abigail that wasn't really on the page?
I mean, like all of it, a ton. That's not any way to disparage Guy and Steven who wrote it. It's that the dancing was a very, very small texture in the script. And, had that texture not been there, we never would have ended up with what we ended up with. But once we met Alicia and found out she was a great dancer and also a really fast learner, we decided, let's steer into this. Let's make that much more of the character. Let's have a costume change halfway through. Let's really own this. And, the fact that now the thing that anyone who knows, if they've heard anything about the movie, is like, oh, ballerina vampire. The ballerina part is like 95% because Alicia could dance.
Wow.
Yeah, so she really informed the movie in a lot of ways.
Now, looking forward, are there any plans to expand Abigail's story in future projects, perhaps creating a new saga or vampire genre within?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't think that we certainly didn't go into this with that design in mind. I think that our approach is always to make a movie that feels like a complete thought, and that it's not leaving anything on the table or holding back any good ideas for something that might happen down the line. And I think that, one of the things that was really intriguing to us about this script is that it did feel like it had a really conclusive end. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be more story to tell, but for the characters specifically in this story, it really felt like it really feels like it has a satisfying conclusion. What happens next? I mean, we certainly would love to work with everybody again, but who knows?
Now, Universal is known for having these classic movie monsters. Are there any of the Universal monsters that you guys would like to take a stab at after Abigail?
I don't know. I mean,
Love them all. I think we're most excited about how Universal just as a whole is taking this new approach, like with Invisible Man and stuff, where it's like, let's not try to redo these things. Let's give them to people and let them interpret it and do a thing with it. I think that's just really special. As to something specific, I mean, I don't think we were like, oh, I can't wait to do a vampire movie. And then now that we've done it, I mean, it was absolutely wonderful and loved it. Yeah, so, you just never know.
Now, what's up next for you guys directing wise?
Wolfman, Universal. I have no idea. I'm joking.
We have that. We ask that same question of each other every day. We're not sure. The movie finished last week, and we're looking for that next thing.
What are you most excited for audiences to explore with Abigail once they see that in theaters for the first time?
I mean, look, it's just a really fun movie. I
It
think
looks
that
really
and I think that I think we really hold our feet to the fire with that. I think that, our aim is to always make a movie that you want to like put on a Sunday morning when you're hungover, and like that you create something that has like real rewatchability. And I think that this is hopefully one of those movies for people. I mean, we've seen it, I don't know how many times collectively we've now watched the movie, and it still entertains us.
Yeah, so many. You know what? One of the things that I know, this won't make much sense until people see the movie, but I do think we are genuinely excited to see the reaction. Is we joked a lot that the cast of characters is it's like a horror breakfast club, where like none of these people belong together, and I think it's going to be really fun to see when you're watching it who like you identify with, because there's something for kind of everybody, and I think I always love movies like that. You always love movies like that. So to get to do something where you're like, oh, everybody has their own character, and you can kind of pick and choose, I think that'll be a fun little social experiment.
It's fun. Like I got some Clue vibes as well, just the different type of characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, what have you guys learned about yourself through directing Abigail?
That I love Ireland.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, I would just make everything in Ireland. It's a good. I think we've learned that we and the team of people that we bring together we're really resilient on this one. I think that this movie faced some interesting challenges with the 2 strikes and the loss of Angus Cloud, and I think that we all came together and still made something that is very much just an expression of how joyful and wonderful the experience of making it was. I think that that's a lesson that we've learned in certain ways on all of our movies, but I think that there were unique challenges with this one that put us to the test in ways that we maybe weren't anticipating. And I think we're all really proud of cast, crew, for the way that we came together to finish this one out.
Well, look, gentlemen, enjoy WonderCon. Go get some stuff on the floor. Go buy whatever it is your heart desires, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. I'm excited for the film. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.